Najlepša hvala, zelo lepo je videti polno dvorano na današnjem preddogodku festivala Grounded, ki se bo odvijal med 22. in 24. avgustom. Tema letošnjega festivala v letu, ko se dogaja genocid v Palestini, bo rasizem v vseh oblikah, ob vseh posledicah, do katerih lahko rasizem pripelje, tako zgodovinsko kot danes, v današnjem trenutku, v sodobnih oblikah. In zaradi tega mi je tudi veliko veselje, da lahko med nami danes na podlagi pravzaprav srečnega naključja pozdravim Mustafo, se zahvalim ob tem Teji in Pritličju, ki nas danes tukaj gosti. Mustafa je rojen na Zahodnem bregu, izobraževal se je v Nablusu, delal kot psiholog tudi dalj časa za UNRWA skupaj s palestinskimi begunci v Ramali. Zdaj pa pravzaprav že dobrih 15 let živi na Norveškem, dela pa z begunci v resnici po vseh koncih Evrope še vedno in v širšem mediteranskem prostoru. Današnji dogodek drugače se bo dogajal v angleščini. Če bi imeli pa na koncu tudi kakšna vprašanja, pa bi jih lažje oziroma raje zastavili v slovenščini, jih bomo zelo veseli, jih prevedemo in v bistvu upam, da se vsi sporazumemo. Zdaj bom pa v bistvu prešla v angleščino. So thank you very much, Mustafa, for being with us. It's a pre-event, so somehow introductory event to the festival Grounded that's taking place between 22nd and 24th August on the theme of racism, being aware of what's happening in Gaza and the events that are somehow falling under the definition of genocide. So it's a great pleasure to have you here to talk about your field of work. So psychology, psychiatry, but also what you've mentioned, that you're focusing on decolonizing mental health, seeing it more in a communal setting and less in a capitalist-defined one. However, perhaps I would start with the report that came out on Tuesday, and it was issued by Gaza Community Mental Health Program. And they described that what's happening, or the events of the more than half a year now, have created an unprecedented crisis, especially in Gaza. They fear that the consequences are going to be borne by generations to come. But we also see in the West Bank that the violence of the occupation of apartheid system is getting worse and worse. People are attacked, their houses are demolished by Israeli army, their fields or olive groves are set on fire by the illegal Israeli settlers there. And at the same time, many people in West Bank are saying that they feel or they understand that the focus has to be now on Gaza. And I'm wondering, I mean, given your knowledge of somehow what's happening to us, how we understand things, how we process them, and your work with the refugees, Palestinian refugees, the generations that continue to somehow resist the attempted erasure from their land, I'm wondering, how do you see this moment? What are we witnessing? What are somehow the challenges from your perspective, having studied psychology, psychotherapy now, being a student, what you just mentioned before, outside of Professor Mate as well. So yes, maybe as an introduction.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming, for having me here. It's really a big question, and it will take a very long time to explain. But I will start with trauma. We Palestinians, we don't reach to the point of a post-traumatic disorder or PTSD because we don't have the time to relax and to settle, to go to the next step. Always we live trauma through, or in a certain amount of time, and a new one will come. So it's continuous trauma for us as Palestinians. It started since, or before 1948, since the British occupation of Palestine. Then the main thing that happened to the Palestinians, Nakba or catastrophe, it started there with the people that they lost their lives, their houses, their homeland. By the sudden, they became refugees in the neighbor countries. After 48, we came to 56 war, then 67, then 73, then 87, then the Oslo Agreement, and building the wall in 2000, and 2002, and the second Intifada from 2000 till 2005, and what was happening in Gaza since 2006 till now, and lately the last 9 or 10 months, what we, all the Palestinians in Palestine, especially in Gaza, and in West Bank have been going through, the solidarity movement with the Palestinians, what we have been going through, we as Palestinians or people that they are connected with Palestine in solidarity or having a partner, a Palestinian partner, we got affected by seeing the news, by watching what's going on. Everything or everybody who cares about humanity got affected in a way or in another. We sleep less, we eat less, we are more angry, we are more sad. We don't practice our life as it should be before the last attack on Gaza. So this is a general introduction to what we Palestinians have been through. But if I want to talk about psychology or therapy, one of the basic things that you need as a therapist or as a professional to prepare for your client is a safe environment. And this is, or safe environment in Gaza, it's not found anywhere in Gaza Strip. In West Bank, also the same. There is no safe environment. If you want to talk to your clients, especially if working with the kids, and can happen invasion or tearing gas or shooting in any time. So as a psychologist, you lost the trust of your client, especially if we're thinking about students and if you are working with the students at school. And you as a therapist or as a psychologist, you need to be okay or feeling well to help your clients. In our cause or in our case, Palestinians, also psychologists or therapists, they need help too. Now it's not, we can't find it in Gaza, and we focus in other areas on what's going on in Gaza. We need to survive. So mental health, we put it almost aside. And we don't talk about it. Survive, to save their lives, to save their children. That's the most important thing for the people. In West Bank, since the 7th of October, there is more than or around 700 people that they lost their lives. And it's a big number. In specific cities, Qalqilia, Tulkarem, Jenin, and Nablus. Mostly these cities that they suffer every day. More than 9,500 Palestinians have been arrested since the 7th of October. Around 160 of these prisoners are children. More than, 160 of the people who were killed since the 7th of October are children. Most of the people who were arrested in West Bank, there is no charge against them. They just go into the house, arrest the man or the woman or the child, maybe because of a Facebook post that they post on Facebook, and it will cost them maybe several years in the prison. So if we want to talk about mental health, it's really a big struggle for us as professionals, because we can't help the people. We can't travel from one city to another city in West Bank, and we can't offer the safe environment to our clients. In addition to the psychologists themselves, they need help, that it should come from outside, and we can't afford that also. In West Bank, if we want to think about the situation, West Bank and the settlers, you see in the news that they burn down houses, cars, villages, they kill people. The settlers, with the help of the soldiers, in addition to the soldiers, there is, in West Bank is around 3.5 kilo square meters. So it's not that big. You're talking about 144 settlements, the legal settlements, according to the Israeli court. 144 settlements in West Bank, in addition to 12 other settlements in Jerusalem. 840 checkpoints in West Bank, in this small area, in addition to the roads that we Palestinians are not allowed to use. They are just made for the settlers. And anytime they can invade anywhere they want, kill, arrest, torture, steal. So there is no safety anywhere in West Bank. And we have seen what's going on in Gaza the last 9 months. It's not just the last 9 months, maybe it's the most difficult period for us as Palestinians, but these 9 months are in addition to 67 years of occupation, of losing land, of torture. I hope that I answered.
And you worked in Ramallah. Now you mentioned anger, you mentioned the fear, you mentioned especially how Israeli army often targets children, which basically destroys any kind of trust also inside the family. And then when they are once in prison, the reports by the NGOs say that they're often forced to sign some kind of confessions, or in any other way they try to somehow push them in the corner. So how did you deal, when you were still in Ramallah, with these questions, with the questions of anger of young people? For example, in Jenin, they have Freedom Theater, and they say that this was something that they felt, as a way to express themselves, to channel the anger. But from your expertise, from your experiences, how to somehow help people who daily face violence or total insecurity, especially if they're, somehow coming of age?
Anger is sadness that didn't find its way out. So it became anger too, because it's much easier for me as a person to express my anger feeling than expressing my sadness or my tears or my fear. So it's much easier. So if I want to look at it from a professional way, I will look what is back this anger feeling. But if I want to look as the Palestinian community, we actually work with helping people to cope with their situation, because we can't change the situation. We can't change or stop the occupation or stop arresting a child. But to work with them to talk about their feelings and how can they cope with their trauma, and how they can deal with their feelings, because it's not easy to talk about your feeling or your feelings as a Palestinian, not because we don't feel, but because everybody else has the same feelings. So to whom I will talk to? So we work with the people, with the groups, to express their feelings by theater or by playing, especially with kids, by music, painting, and it succeeds for a period of time. Then we come to a new trauma. So the process are so long. and it will not go because the cause of their psychological or mental problems still there. So if we want to change the whole community, and that will take many years, maybe another 76 years after the liberation, to work with the way that the people, how the people think or how the people feel. And we have other experiences in the world, like Hiroshima and Nagasaki. For how many years the people still suffering from trauma, or what happened to them, or the Armenian cause, or other groups of people that they have been suffering, and it stopped. The trauma or the psychological problems will not stop at the same time. It takes time to work with the people. It might take 2 to 3 generations. So, but we try our best to work with the people, to include new methods, new ways of working. And luckily, the Palestinian community, or the Palestinians, we didn't try to find other ways of coping with our problems. Like in other communities, in other countries, you find the amount of crime is very high, or the use of drugs is very high. Luckily, in the Palestinian community, we found another way to cope with our, or with the difficulties with our trauma, which is we study a lot. It's a way of coping with trauma, not because we are the smartest people on earth, but because we found the right direction to cope with our difficulties or with our problems. How we care about each other within the society, within the Palestinian community, it's different from another community. Like for the people who has been in Palestine, you will see how much we have been through, but the hospitality is still there. And being safe, the feeling of being safe and being welcomed by the people. Even if they have nothing to give, they still give you the love, they still give you the safety, they still give you whatever they have. And this is a way from us to cope with our situation, by being like all for one and one for all. And it's not the YouTube community, for sure we have other problems. We have people that they are not good people, but in general, if you look to the Palestinians, in the Arab world, we are the highest educated Arabs. The highest number of doctor or PhD within the Arab community. We work hard. And it's another way, like if you look to some people and you say they have 2 or 3 works and they work so hard, they want to cope with their difficulties or with their problems. They don't want to reach to the point where they have free time to think of what they are going through. And this is what we do as Palestinians.
And is it a strategy in a way that challenges the racism that is present in the world and somehow fueled also by the media, by the stereotypes? Because it seems, the racist idea, the prejudices that come when someone says Palestine, there are many, and I think they're more and more critically debated. But you say that mental health is political, that I'll need to check. Theory is social activism, and activism is lifetime commitment. So I'm wondering, what does this mean in the context you have been describing so far, especially as you're talking also about trying to decolonize mental health. And this decolonizing mental health means, as far as I understood, it can mean different things to different people. It can mean moving from individual to more community, society-based. It can mean moving away from what they call mental health industries that are developing. So what do these terms mean for you in the reality you know?
Actually, all the 3 things they are decolonizing mental health or psychology. So if I will start with activism is lifetime commitment, as Malcolm X said, because being activist for human rights or for one cause, it doesn't have to be in my free time. Like, not in the weekends I participate in something, and then the rest of the week I have nothing to do with this cause. But I don't have to get burned and to leave my family and my work just to participate in activism for this cause. Lifetime commitment is a believing in what you are doing. And if you stop working with the cause, let us say, hopefully Palestine will be free tomorrow. All of us as activists, we will find another cause that we will work for. Because it's in your blood, it's in your way of thinking, it's in your mentality, it's your life. So being activist is guaranteeing you not accepting what the media is telling you. In the time of Vietnam War, there was an American old man. He used to sit in the front of the White House, lighting a candle every evening and sitting there. So a journalist came to him and told him, do you think by this candle you will stop the war and you will change the system? So the answer of the old man was, I know this will not stop the war. I will not change the system. But with this candle, I guarantee that the system will not change me. And this is the most important thing, not accepting what they are telling us and feeding us and poisoning us with the news. That the Palestinian, with the stereotyping, like if, let me talk about, go back some years ago, if you see a person like me with a beard, oh yeah, he's a terrorist. Right? He looks Arab, angry, terrorist. This is the stereotyping that the media, the movies, the Hollywood shows us how the terrorist looks like. But there is so many terrorists that they are with suits, having power. We see them all the time on the TV. They know how to talk, and they have the power to accept the genocide that's going on in Palestine and trying to find excuses for the Western colony in Palestine to kill us daily. And if you have seen, last week they attacked a school and they killed around 100 people, and in all over the Western news they were targeting the head of Al-Qassam Brigade in Gaza. They didn't mention the 100 people that they were killed in Gaza. They just mentioned why they wanted to kill or they attacked this school. So this is about lifetime activism. Mental health is political, accepting what we hear from the media or from the system and the government. And the mental health field, when it comes to individualism. I am tired. I have to get back. I have to take a break. I have to avoid the toxic people. I have to avoid the angry people. Then if I will continue in this way, I will find myself alone. These people that I'm describing them as toxic people, they might be my father, my mother, my partner, or my friend. That I found out that they are toxic after hearing this focus on the mental health in the media and the social media. Mental health industry never been about making money, never been about making business and being famous. It's about helping people to help themselves. This is what I believe in, and making this industry as pure business industry something I refuse totally 100%. All the time, since ever till forever, as long as I work in this industry, my aim is to help the people, to help themselves. I don't guarantee a magical way of helping people, but I help the people that they want to help themselves. So decolonizing mental health starts from here, and it goes to, if I don't fix the problems within the community and the understanding the importance of the community, I will not reach to the point where I can feel good with myself, because I will feel stranger from my community that refusing me, and I'm refusing this community. Focusing on individualism, it has one help. It helps the system to control us all. This you might hear it as I'm against the system. I'm not against the system, but I'm not accepting it as it is. It should change. It should accept us as a community, as people that they are not accepting. We have been in the street for 9 months now saying and shouting, stop the genocide, and there is no one single government came out with the need of the people. What does it mean to recognize Palestine as a state? You forced them to recognize Palestine as a state, but on the land, nothing got changed. The genocide is still ongoing, the occupation is still there, and the occupation or the cooperation with the occupation is still there. So, and therapy or psychotherapy is social activism. I see it, if I'm good in my way of thinking, I'm safe, it will reflect on my community. Working with the individuals for the sake of the individuals and the community will help the community to go in the right direction. We have safe community, we have more people in the work industry, the production, studying, having good families, or happier families. I don't say happy all the time, because if we don't experience sadness or anger, we will not experience the good feelings. So having healthy mental health for individuals will reflect directly on the community and the other way around.
Now, you still have family in the West Bank. And you have also in the last years been able to somehow establish a way to get their products to the European market, because they're mostly farming community from the village of Jayyousi. And Jayyousi is north and near the border or demarcation line with Israel. And I'm wondering, what's the situation like there? Why was this an important action for you as an individual, as someone who has family there, or also in the sense of somehow keeping the community alive, having it span over the Mediterranean, even though you're in Norway? What were the difficulties that you somehow encountered? And what are perhaps, well, what are the difficulties they are encountering in their daily lives?
Yes, actually the aim, or the first aim of this project that started 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, was to help the female students in the universities, like with what we get, to help the female students in the universities to finish their studies. And helping the business industry in Palestine by importing Palestinian products from West Bank and Gaza to the Norwegian and Danish market. And it went well. In addition to, if you want to work with the BDS, the boycott, maybe if you can find the alternative, that will be good, like Palestinian dates is alternative for the Zionist settler dates that we see in the whole European markets. I can't just say boycott if I can find alternative. And this is what we did, or what we try to do. I'm not the first one who's doing this, but lately, after the collapse of everything in Palestine, Gaza and West Bank, we have olives, we have other Palestinian products that my family produce in West Bank, in Jayyousi. So I was thinking it's much easier for me than just helping them, that they will produce something to Norway and they feel that they get what they work for. So I'm not helping them, I'm having business with them in a way they will accept it in a better way, because it's very difficult for my family to accept my help, because like they care for me. So and this is like, even if you are in the biggest need in your life, you still have something to give. And this is the Palestinian community. So it's not easy for them to accept what I help them with. So now it's much easier that we have business together. So there is a big risk to import Palestinian products, because it's all are controlled by the Zionist state borders. So we might never get them. So my family never been allowed to export products. And if they do, there is a big possibility that I never get them here. So I risk the money, and they risk their products. In addition to, it will take a very long time. Sometimes it goes to 2 months, 3 months before you get the products that you are waiting for. And the cost of posting the products, it might cost you the same amount as what you are buying. Let's say a liter of olive oil will cost 10 euros. So you pay another 10 euros for posting it. So you will have it with 20 to 22 euros here to Norway or Slovenia. So it costs a lot to, like every 20 kilos, I pay 100 euros. For each 20 kilos package, I pay 100 euros, which is a big amount of money. If you are not importing gold, you're importing olive oils and dates and stuff like that. So that's why the Palestinian products in the market, they are higher, and we still in the solidarity market. We didn't go to sell it to the normal market outside. So these are the most difficulties, and in addition to paying taxes here, but the risky thing is you might not get it at all, or it will take longer time. So if I need something and I think it will take 2 weeks, I prepare myself for 2 months, because you never know when you will get it.
And for them to continue somehow farming, for your family members still there, what's it like? Are the settlements encroaching? Is the border, moving into their land? What is life like?
Luckily, we don't have in our area so many settlements. We have just 2 settlements that they were built on a part of our land, but the wall, when they start building the wall, we lost more than 35% of our land, Jayyousi land, in the wall that they built. And it's very difficult for the people to get to their land, because they have gates that they might punish us and not open the gates for a month or 2. So they used to open the gates twice a day or what the law says, their law. 6:30 in the morning and 6:30 in the evening for half an hour. So you have to prepare, as a farmer, to prepare yourself to be at 6:30 in the morning, to go to your land and to finish, not before 6:30 in the evening, but at that time, to go back to your home. And if you've been imprisoned once, you will not take a permit. If you are politically active, you are not allowed to take the permit to go to your land, to cross the gates. And if you are in a family with one who is politically active, you are not allowed to take the permit. So, and this is the collective punishment for all of us. And in their holidays, they close the gates. Totally. Like there is a Jewish holiday, they close it for 3 days, 4 days, and they don't think of our products, especially the vegetables that they should be picked in the next day. This is one of the things, and traveling from city to another, like sending from Jayyousi to Bethlehem to the post, it took me 3 days, which takes 2 to 3 hours with the car. But transferring them to Nablus, from Nablus to Ramallah, and from Ramallah to Bethlehem. Because I told you earlier that we have 840 checkpoints just in West Bank. So you can imagine how difficult for the Palestinians to travel from a village to another, and from to city to another. And we have, for us in our cars, the car plates, they are green. The Israelis, they are yellow. But the Palestinians, they are green, so they can stop you, or they cannot allow you to cross from this area to another area. And there are settlers that they burn down your production. They cut down olive trees. And when we talk about the olive trees in Palestine, we talk about the Roman trees that they are over 1,000 years old. They take them half an hour to cut everything before the season. And you lose everything as a Palestinian farmer, because most of us are depending on agriculture. So whatever happens, we continue, and whatever happens, we still the owners of that land. Whatever happens will not change our struggle, will not change our way of believing and belonging to that olive tree and to that land. And it doesn't belong to anybody else but us. This is our belief as Palestinians, and we will continue to believe in this. And there is no, like, in the whole history, there is no cute occupation, lovely occupation. All the occupation in the world is occupation that they aim to destroy you, to kill you, to destroy your history, everything about you. So this is what we are expecting from the occupation, with the help from the whole world, the Arab world before the Western world. Not like they were talking about the Muslims want to kill us, the Arabs, they want to kill us and go back to Saudi Arabia, as if I'm from there. Because me and Saudi Arabia are Arabs. And by the sudden, they are in love with Saudi Arabia and Emirates. They are more closer to Saudi Arabia and Emirates than me as Palestinian Arab. So the cause is not Muslim and Jew. The cause is not a religious cause, because this is the last thing for us as Palestinians we think of. Like, no, there is occupation. If the occupier is a Muslim or atheist or Jew or Christian or whatever, I will react in the same way. So, and you find now Christian and Muslim Zionists more than you find Jewish Zionists. So our problem with Zionism, our problem with occupation, and we will struggle as much as we can in all ways as Palestinians against the occupation till we get our freedom, till we get Palestine free from the river to the sea, This is how we see it. And I will not be nice to say what the people want to hear from me. This is my Palestine, and this is how I see it as Palestinian. And if they want to discuss anything with me as Palestinian, give me the 67 years of back of occupation from my father and my mother age. Get them a normal life. Get the lives of the people that they were killed because of this occupation. Then we talk. Get me my normal life as Palestinian since 48 till now. Then we talk how the Western community or how the international community see our Palestine.
We will also soon open the questions. I have one still, and then I'll be very happy if you somehow join in. I'm wondering, when you talk about Zionism, you talk about what we see now in Israel politically. So a state that is based on supremacy of Jewish people, who are the only ones that can have full national rights. I mean, we've just seen now Knesset has passed a resolution that somehow denies the possibility or rejects the possibility of a Palestinian state, saying it's a threat to Israel, threat, I think, to stability of the whole region, and it makes it impossible for the Israeli and Palestinians to, I don't know, live together or solve the conflict, as they term it. So what's the term that they used? And I'm wondering, how do you understand, I mean, Zionism as such? Because we see a lot of misuse of trying to resist any kind of ideological political supremacy and trying to ensure equality for all people. Because in Europe, we have serious historical problem with anti-Semitism. Second World War was the best proof of that, but it continues to this day. And many people say that it's growing. And I'm wondering, so yeah, how do you see somehow that Palestinians, although it's probably very problematic to, for you to talk about other people, but you mentioned before that they're, the most well-educated. And we have heard here from refugees who have come to Slovenia with master's degrees, saying that if this is human rights, if this is the international rule of law, you've taught us about it for decades, and this is not it, and stop telling us that we should believe in it if you're allowing, to happen what's happening in Gaza, because it takes away lives, it makes people totally disposable. So I'm wondering, how do you see this affect also the situation, or more broadly understanding of possible solutions dealing with Zionism, understanding, what equality means, what humanity means?
Possible. With what we see now, and with our weakness as Palestinians and standing alone against this occupation, it will make it possible to have free Palestine, to make it clear. But making it impossible doesn't mean that we will accept it. Having the right of not accepting it, of what you want, even if you can't get it, is enough for us as Palestinians. Like, to survive is a struggle. To have your rights and to believe in them and still focusing on what you want as Palestinian is enough for us now, with all of the killing, with all of the losing the land, with all of what's going against us, with all the world against us. Like, you can take me out of my land, but I'm still Palestinian. That will continue talking about Palestine, my Palestine, how I see it. Now, the two-state solution is impossible because of the settlements, because of stealing the land, and because of the cantons, the Palestinian cities that called Palestinian state, which is not, like you need airport in each city to travel, or in each village, not to cross the checkpoints. Seriously. And the one-state solution, if we like I say the Zionist state, because I don't believe in anything called Israel, and I don't recognize that state. I say the Western colony in Palestine, based on three things: democratic, Jewish state, right? Yeah, democratic and Jewish state, and one state. Not two-state solution, because we will be a big danger for their state as Palestinians to have Palestinian state. So if you want to be democratic and dealing with the people equal in your state, and all the people are equal and there is no apartheid, that is against Jewish state. So the radical Jewish settlers will not accept not having the Jewish state. So that means it's not a democratic state if you have apartheid. So it will never be a democratic, and it's impossible to be a Jewish state, and it's impossible for one-state solution with rights for all people, as some people talk about it, and it's impossible to have two-state solution. So what's the solution? Now there is no solution with the we have been trying for having two-state solutions since 1993, since Oslo Agreement, and the only thing that happened to us is more stealing of our land, more killing of our people, more people in the prisons, and more dividing within the Palestinian community. Like what happened to our community in the last 30 years is unbelievable. Within the community, the way that how they divided us, Gaza and West Bank and Palestinians in the 48, and how they deal with us. And they have tried this in the first Intifada, like Palestinians, Muslims, we deal with them in this way, and Christians, we deal with them in a softer way to make conflict between us. And they didn't succeed. But since Oslo Agreement, they succeed to divide the Palestinian community, unfortunately. And I hope that we will reach to a point after what's going on in Gaza now, to a point where we can rebuild our community. Even there is no hope now, and there is no light that we can see, but we still have hope, because we have clear goal of rebuilding the Palestinian society how it was before. And what's going on in Gaza, if it doesn't stop, will happen. It's happening now in West Bank, but will happen in a higher level of killing people in West Bank if it will not stop. So the danger on Gaza will transfer to West Bank so soon if the world doesn't take action. And we will see it, the killing in the West Bank, transferring people from West Bank to Jordan. This is how I see it, if the world will not stop them here and now. And if the world will just keep having this smooth, nice way of dealing with this occupation. If it has been another country, there will be sanctions directly. They will stop the cooperation. And we have seen how they deal with Russia, how they deal with Iran, how they deal with North Korea, how they deal with the country, or in Latin America, the countries that they disagree with the American colonial mentality. So if the world doesn't react now against the occupation, it will be more difficult for us as a Palestinian. So it's a question of the humanity of the whole world. And all the systems or the government are now facing the main question of their people here in Slovenia or in Norway or in Saudi Arabia or in Emirates or in Denmark or in the States, this is the democracy that you're talking about? This is human rights that you have taught us about and how beautiful our communities and our societies are, or it's a big lie from the system? And I will not discuss it now, but I want each one of you to think of one thing. Am I privileged? Because I hear it a lot. I'm privileged, so I have this. I'm privileged. I feel bad about this and that. I want to ask myself a question. Am I privileged? And what does it mean for me? Am I talking about me being privileged? Or am I talking about my rights? I will not go to that part. I will not discuss it because it's a long topic, but it's a nice thing to think about, if I'm privileged or not.
Okay. Any questions? In Slovene or in English?
We were talking about
I'll just bring you the mic because so that.
we're always talking about our human rights, Western European human rights. What about Islam? Islam has their own ethical rules, right? Their own morality. How much Islam give to Palestinian people the power, the strength, the resilience?
I'm not representing the Muslim countries. You mean the Muslim countries, right?
No, Islam in Gaza right now, when they're going through those...
Okay.
Yeah,
You mean
because
how
yeah.
the effect of the Islam on the people?
It's probably helpful, right?
Yeah, it is. And this is a part of decolonizing mental health and psychology is now colonizing it is forgetting the spiritual part of us. Even if we are believers or non-believers, it's much easier for the people that they believe in God and heaven and hell and all of these things after death. It's much easier. I'm doing this for my God. I will go to heaven if I get killed. What is awaiting for me in the heaven is much better than what I'm facing in Gaza. So being a believer is a big help for the people. It doesn't have to be Islam. It can be Christianity. It can be Judaism. It can be Buddhism. It can be any other religion. But for the people that they believe in life, after this life, it's much easier for them to accept what they are going through. Like feeding this spiritual or the soul part of us is very important to think of. So yes, listening to Quran, believing that it's the will of God, what's happening to us now, and God has promised us, or my child who got killed, a better life after life, and that woman or that father who is more patient to what he has been going through will give him a better life after death, can help the people a lot to accept what they are going through and to control their fear, to control how they react to what they are going through. So it's much easier for the religious people and the people that they believe in that there is a reason back what's going on with us now and what we will face, what we will have after death or afterlife.
I also wanted to say, and also in Islam, like we're talking about our human rights, but Islam talks about human rights, right? It's not Western. Sometimes we think we have like monopole over the human rights or the justice or whatever. But in Islam, you have your own set of beliefs that are also very ethical.
Yeah, there is, but I'm not spokesperson for the Islamic law. Unfortunately, I'm not that religious to answer your question, but there is in Islam, in Quran, as it is in Bible, there is talks about human rights, and there is, if you kill one person, like you have killed the whole humanity. If you save one soul, as you saved the whole humanity. There is something like that in Islam, and the human rights, how to protect the other people, and what are your rights, what your neighbor's rights. It's mentioned there, but I'm not that religious to go in details, unfortunately, about what's mentioned in Islam, but yes, it's there.
Yeah, thank you very much. My question would be, so first of all, one of your messages is about the strength or the need to go on and to participate in the struggle to fight for more justice, more equality in any way that you can. And I think a lot of people are doing that. But what would you answer to those? I hear a lot of people saying that they know what's going on, or at least they've heard and they are aware that it's wrong and horrible and unlawful and so on. But they don't have the power to participate. For them it seems hopeless, or they don't see how they would help. So it's easier for their mental health. Maybe they're struggling with something else, they're struggling with their own problems in their personal life, and for every person their own problems seem the worst. So what would you answer to them when they don't find the energy to deal with such heavy topic, because not everyone is so resilient as the people in Palestine? What would you answer?
If I want to talk about the individuals, it's good when you feel as individual. If you are tired or you can't participate in one thing, like let us say that you have demonstrations on Saturdays, that one Saturday you can't participate because you want to take care of yourself. That's the most important thing that you can do, because you will continue participating in other activities. Taking care of yourself is not pulling yourself from everything. Taking care of yourself to continue believing that activism is lifetime commitment, believing in what you do is right. And all of us are tired. But if we changed or not, no, we changed. Maybe we didn't stop the genocide in Gaza. We didn't stop the occupation in Palestine. We didn't change our governments, but we changed. And the most important thing that we did as groups and individuals, that we didn't stop shouting and screaming and participating and talking about Palestine now for 9 months. This is the most important thing, that we didn't stop, and they didn't make us to stop. And if we changed, yes, we changed, because the media now is softer talking about the Palestinian cause and the genocide. It's because of you as groups and as individuals, because of all of us. The countries that they recognized Palestine because of what we did in the streets, because of us as people, because of us as students, because of us as individuals, because of us as unions. So we changed a lot, and we didn't let the system change us. So for those people that they say that we can't change, at least tell them, don't let the system change you, and don't accept what's going on. Like what we are doing now is not stopping the genocide in Palestine and not stopping the occupation. We are not liberating Palestine. We are protecting our humanity. It's a question for our humanity. If I don't care about what's going on in Palestine, or what's going on in Sudan, or what's going on in Congo, or what's going on in any place in the world, if I don't care about it, if my heart doesn't bleed for losing a human, for a crisis in specific place in the world, I have to question my humanity. I have to question my feelings. I have to question my mind. I have to question my heart. So not letting the situation change us and not to accept the situation is enough. reason for us to continue. Enough reason to tell those people that your silence means accepting what's going on, and the fear, and any problem is not far from us. We can wake up finding a new country under occupation, finding a new country in a war. And we have seen this in Syria, we have seen this in Tunisia, in Libya, we have seen this in Africa, we have seen this in Egypt, we have seen this in Ukraine, we have seen this in Iraq, we have seen this in many different places in the world. We wake up finding a country under occupation or in a crisis. So we are not far from any danger if we are letting these devils to control our world and accept what they are doing to us.
Thank you very much also to Kristina of the talk that was. I have maybe two questions. I'm not clear if they are connected or how to think about them. First, I would like to ask you if you can answer, maybe you don't want. I remember the 7th of October when it started, what we get by media. I thought this is the end. And immediately, I thought it's not the perception that the other countries, the world, will see what's going on, but actually will be the worse. It will be a complete, let's say, cleansed space, and what we can see from the news and so on is actually a complete disaster. Everything is destroyed. And you said before, so my question will be what you thought in that moment, if you can recollect. I suppose you were in Norwegia, or maybe you were there working on this project of economy, or with your family and so on. And then you said we will not stop until we don't rebuild Gaza, no? And this is really a question of future. And my question is, what it's possible also to see, it's actually one other step, and this is a total displacement that it's also possible to see, because the question is what is the next steps? Total relocation, even thought about Sinai and everything. So this is even something to think about the aftermaths. And so my question will be again, how you think about this future? If it's talks with that people there, I'm sure, daily, how to perceive what could be in the aftermaths when the peace will come. What will be actually the situation? And yeah, if you can share a little bit about the future. I mean, future is the most difficult word now.
Actually, it took me more than one day to understand what happened on the 7th of October. Like, we woke up on the 9th, most of us who follow the news and what's going on in Palestine. We woke up on the 9th of October after they start bombing Gaza, because it wasn't clear for anybody what's going on and what happened, because it was totally a shock for everybody. And what's going on, and who did it, and why they did it, and why we know it, but who did it, and the reaction, how it will be. So it took around 2 days to understand what's going on. Then they start bombing Gaza, and like everything start to get changed. So how I felt, I was in a shock. I was in a total shock, because it was so early in the morning. To wake up or to wake up on a phone call, there's something is going on in Palestine, so you need to listen to what's going on. So it was a shock, and afraid for my family, for sure, for our people in Gaza and West Bank, what will happen to them. The future, it's a difficult question. not being optimistic, but it's better future for us as Palestinians, with all the blood that we see. Like it's very important that the people are recognizing what's going on, and the people stop talking about two-state solution or the occupation in 1967, and we start talking about the main problem, the start of the problem, 1948. So I hope, or I have a hope, that the future is a better solution for us. Unfortunately, when it comes to peace, we Palestinians, we start to hate that word, because this word peace, not because we hate peace, but because the word was abused. They misused the word peace. The word peace for the Zionists, killing more of us, taking other land. The peace for the international community is giving more money to the Palestinian Authority, having more corruption, and forgetting the main problem and the Palestinian refugees in Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan mainly, forgetting the stealing of our land in West Bank, forgetting the siege on Gaza. This is how peace means for us, because the answer is not peace. The answer is liberation. You can have peace and have injustice. You can have peace and be enslaved. You can have peace and being under occupation. So the answer is not peace. The answer is liberation. If we have our liberation, we can think of peace. But the peace for the others and the hell for us, that's not peace. That's accepting what's going on, accepting what the international community want from us as Palestinians. When you find the Norwegian government cutting from the fund to the Palestinian Authority because they want to change a sentence in a book for the 5th grade at the school, to interfere in our internal business, how we teach our kids and what kind of books we have in our schools, and accepting it from the Palestinian Authority is our problem. This is not peace. This is everything but not peace. So peace when we have our liberation, peace when we have justice, then we can talk about peace. Thank you.
Some more questions. That's very far.
Okay. Yeah.
Closer.
I'm too far away. Thank you, first of all, coming here. It was really sad, but good to hear also from the first hand your experiences. I was just wondering to ask you, for sure we all hope that it will finish this tragedy and these horrible things immediately, but for the long term, what do you think would take that it would change the perspective of many people around the world about this situation? Because we saw that there was, for decades, there was this, I think, propaganda through movies, especially Hollywood movies. They were showing Arab world and Palestinians just really in a wrong perception. Maybe they were noble, but they were looked all the time dirty and bad clothes and so on. So what do you think, what is the role of, let's say, artists and movie makers especially, to change the perspective about the situation, to show that not what, let's say, Israeli government trying to say that Palestinians are not humans, but to show that they are, that they have this everyday life, they are going to university, everything, and what do you think is the role of maybe showing the old movies and also making new ones?
Well, if I will talk about the movies or the film industry, be careful with from whom you get your fund. That's very important, because they will ask you to do what they want from you. So if you ask for fund, be careful who will fund your project, because it has I will not say full, but a big effect on what you work on or your way of thinking. I will say, don't blame the media, have your own. And this is what happened in the last 9 months. Us, Palestinians, activists, social media, young people, the young generation, the amazing people, we had our own media. TikTok was our platform. Facebook, Instagram, not CNN, not our big channels, not our TV channels. Our social media, the young generation, were our way to understand what's going on in Palestine. This is very important. To not blame the media, have your own. And this is what we are doing now. The second thing, the Jewish movement in the world against the occupation and against Zionism is very important movement. We need to focus on them. Some of them that they lose everything. Their contact with their families, their partners, and they put big energy or all of their energy in their movement, and we see it mostly in the States and in the UK. So they are a very important movement. What helped us too is Black Lives Matter movement in the US made the people to understand that what they get poisoned from the media is not the truth always. So it's very important to continue, not to give up, for all of us. The small changes, if we all of them do these changes, they will be big changes. These small, tiny changes that we don't see. Our participation, not accepting what's going on, is very important. And I will, because you specifically talking about filmmaking and media, I will say it again. Be careful with who gives you fund. That's the most important thing, because money talks. Money talks all the time, and this is the propaganda. The real propaganda started. As you said, like if you see a Hollywood movie, you will see the Arab who speaks very broken, angry English, right? This way. And the dirty clothes, having gun, wanna kill, love blood, and they don't see the woman. This is how and you can trust them, right? This is how the media shows the Arabs or the Muslims. So be careful with what you watch, not accept what you watch, and I hope to see a reality in the movie industry talking about the Arabs and the Palestinians, like not the angry Palestinian is the main character to justify his anger. Like, I will continue being angry, and I'm happy being angry as Palestinian because I'm not accepting what's going on. Your work as understanding my anger and justify it, not to attack it, not to show, not to blacklist me because I'm angry. I can shout, and I will not stop shouting because the people in the street say that they are afraid or not feeling comfortable. Not feeling comfortable, ask yourself this question. Not feeling comfortable, why? Because you disagree with me? You are not comfortable because the people or the society is changing against against your propaganda? Give me one example of a Palestinian attack a Zionist person all over the world. But you hear it in the news all the time, especially if they go to the police and say that I don't feel comfortable, I don't feel safe. What they need is to question their safety. What does it mean? Having that full space of your propaganda without being judged, now you're losing it. So the safety is not about your life or you as a person. The safety is about your propaganda as a Zionist. So justify how I feel and why I feel it is the very important thing to do.
Some more questions? Yes.
Hello, thank you so much for your talk. I just have a question. You talked a lot about the Palestinian community and also about decolonizing mental health. So my question to you is, what can we learn from Palestinians or other colonized people that we can apply in the West to decolonize mental health and kind of implement community care and all of that?
Maybe not learning, but exchanging experiences, because it's difficult to say that we will learn from the whole community or to teach to the whole community. But what's going on in our communities here in the West now, or all over the world, is the focus on the individualism. And that's a very scary thing. So we need to focus on the society. Healthy society is healthy individuals. The change will happen through the groups, not through the individuals. So, and what made us Palestinians stand there and struggle for 76 years against the occupation is standing us standing as the whole community against the occupation, not as individuals. And we have examples of individuals that they have been struggling alone. Either they end up in the prison for lifetime, or they have been killed, or they got tired. So focusing on the community. In any community I find myself in. Like me as Palestinian in Norway, I have learned a lot from the Norwegian community and about the Norwegian literature and about the Norwegian culture. But that didn't make me lose my identity. I can have both of them. Like, it doesn't have to be either this or that. I can be both Palestinian and Norwegian. I can be both Mustafa, the activist, or Mustafa, the psychotherapist. So we need to work on including the different people, not to integrate them. To include them is protecting their identity, protecting what they believe in, and these still fit in our society. But to integrate them is making them lose what they believe in and what their identity is, to be accepted in our society. So to accept everybody, to accept the people who are different, the people who think different from us, the people who go to the mosque or to the church or not, not to judge them by how they look, not to judge them by how they speak, just to focus on us as a community. To protect the community or the society is the most important thing, to decolonize our mental health and to protect and to guarantee the changes that we want to see in the right directions in our communities. With our governments, like the political parties will not change their beliefs if one individual work against them, but as a group, they will change. And they will do whatever we want, as governments or political parties or new laws or whatever.
Some more questions?
Just one more question. For example, we've been watching in North America indigenous communities being really destroyed. What will help Palestinian community not to get destroyed like that over time? Because indigenous communities in North America, like, there's drugs, alcohol, basically they're destroyed people, even though there's some pockets of indigenous communities that are healthy, but in general, they're not.
maybe I go back to the first question you asked, which is religion. Beliefs will protect the people, the believers, from going the wrong direction to gambling or drugs or alcohol or crimes or whatever. Believing in God and Judgment Day and all of that stuff will protect them from going this direction. We, the Palestinians, maybe you find us all over the world. And this is a good point in addition to being a bad point. Like, we are 13 to 14 million people all over the world. That will help us to continue focusing on us as a community. What will help us from the international community as Palestinians to see us as humans. We don't want more than this. Like, we are not waiting for the people to come and liberate Palestine. But don't justify our suffer. Don't justify the occupation. This is what we want from the international community. And the rest, like, will be details that we can deal with. But what kills us as Palestinians and we make us so angry, finding humans justifying our killing, accepting our killing, because it's a promised land for a group of people that they were collected from all over the world, not believing in that God who gave them that land that owned by different people. Right? So not to accept what's going on with us, not to justify the occupation, and look to the injustice that's ongoing in Palestine in the same eye that you look to it if it's happening in any other place in the world. Look to the Palestinian child in the same way you look to a Slovenian child or Norwegian or any other child in the world. This is what we want from the world. The rest are details that we Palestinians have been dealing with for 76 years, and the occupation will not end tomorrow. Maybe we need another 67 or 76 years. Who knows? But all what we want is not to accept and justify what the Palestinians are going through. That will help us a lot.
Hi, thank you very much. Thank you for speaking, for standing up. I was just wondering, what do you think about democracy as a political system? And is it possible to see a liberation happening in the context of like ideology of democracies? That's yeah.
Maybe I'll take the part of the ideology because it's much easier to criticize ideology than criticizing democracy. There is a Palestinian author, he lives in Canada, called Wael Hallaq. He wrote a book called The Impossible State, talking about the Islamic State, that it's impossible because it's built on the Islamic ideology. And that can, or I think, that can we put it on Judaism, on Christianity, Buddhism, any ideology, either religious or political ideology, it will be destroyed from within. Like if a society or a community or a country or a state based on or built on any ideology will not survive for a very long time. Because as a religious person, let's say that I'm the mullah, Mustafa, and I know everything about the Islamic State, and I'm making my own Islamic State, I will find people that they will come more radical than me, okay, that they might kill me and take over the government or the state. And it will keep continuing. So any state built, my belief, I might be wrong, I believe in any state based, the building of that state based on any ideology will not survive for a long time. At some point it will collapse from within, from inside, more than facing external enemy, but from within. Democracy is a big question that we agree or disagree on it. It depends on, is it a political system or is it a democracy, or in what I do in my life to myself, with other people, where my freedom starts, where it ends. So it's a big question to discuss. That's why I went to the ideological part, because it's much easier for me to criticize ideology than talking about democracy. But democratic state is much easier than any other shape of a state. But that democracy helping the people or the system? Is it a democratic state or it's fake? So it's, and we can take it from individual experiences. We can't, or I can't talk about it as the whole system. Thank you.
كيف حالك? It's from a long time I didn't say it. I just, according to your experience, that you were in Palestine and you already know the system or the policy of Israel, or the government of Israel, how it will be this policy in West Bank after the war, if it's finished soon, how it will look like?
In West Bank, I said it, and I will say it again. It will not be easy on our people in West Bank, because of now we have 100 with West Bank and Jerusalem. We have 56 settlements, legal settlements, in addition to the other settlements that they are not recognized yet. We have 840 checkpoints. We have more than 10,000 settlers with legal weapons, not guns, weapons, M16, stuff like that, that they are willing to kill any Palestinian without spending 1 minute in the prison, without being charged. Talking about 10,000 settlers in West Bank, in addition to the weapon that all the settlers in West Bank have. But now they justify the killing of the Palestinians. So it will be very difficult. And if the war or the genocide, because it's not a war, it's from one side, if the killing of the Palestinians in Gaza will not stop in the right way, what is facing the Palestinians in the West Bank will not be easy. You will see the killing of the Palestinians in West Bank. It's happening every day now, but we will see it, instead of killing 5 or 10 people in West Bank in one day, we'll see 500 and 1,000 people, and opening the roads for the people to leave to Jordan. And this is their aim, to empty West Bank from the Palestinians. And you're talking about 3.5 square meters, which is a very small area, cantons divided between the cities and the villages, that they easily can separate the West Bank and destroy it easily. So what will happen to the people in West Bank will not be easy. It will be more difficult than what we expect or are waiting for. And the war in the north of Palestine or Lebanon, the north of occupied Palestine or Lebanon, will not start before the stopping of the war in Gaza. Not because they don't want to, but because they can't. This war against Gaza and what happened after the 7th of October changed the understanding of the people, of the mentality of the Zionist people before anybody else, that this army will not protect them forever. It's not the strongest army in the Middle East or the fourth army in the world when it comes to rights. Who has the right? Because it's much stronger having the right than having the weapon, and you know that you can travel to Miami the day after. You choose to travel to Miami. But we, the Palestinians, we have no other place to go. So there is a big change that have happened after the 7th of October. But if it will be easy on us, no. It never been easy on any nation that has been under the occupation. So it will not be easy on us.
Okay. We're an hour and a half. I actually have one short, how do you say, after question to, because it also intrigued me. When you talked about ideology and democracy, when you talk about ideology, that's lack of doubt. Do I understand that correctly? Or lack of readiness to change? Because before, outside, we were talking about communist parties, and before you mentioned a lot about religion and, you know, having hope. And I'm wondering, I mean, in Palestine still there are quite many people who are not religious. So how do they deal with it? I mean, is this kind of belief still there?
Being not religious is not practicing, but still a believer. Okay. That's the difference. We still believe that there is God, or in religion, or either we practice, fast, pray 5 times a day if we are Muslims, go to church on Sundays if we are Christians. Like this is depends on believer or religious. So we still believe, or the Palestinian community is a believer community in God in general. The political parties, the communist political parties, since the start of the Palestinian liberation movement, we had, and we still have, not strong, small parties as every place in the world, like the left parties, they are so small. We have 16 communist parties. They are 16 because of political disagreement, because of money, because of leadership, because of so many reasons. So we are not talking about the 80% of the Palestinian communities, communist or leftist parties, because we have 16 parties and 2 religious parties, Hamas and the Islamic Jihad, and 1 secular party, which is Fatah, and 16 left parties, communist parties. It's because of the division, not more than this, but we still have a big amount of Palestinians who still believe in communism or socialism, or like any other community or society in the world. Maybe you will laugh if you say that the PFLP and the FLP had the fight because of the are Maoist and Marxist, right? So it's yeah, like in the 60s, who's Maoist, who's Marxist? Are you China or the Soviet Union? Which has effect on all the political leftist parties all over the world. But as a religious community, we are not that religious community. We are believers, we are Muslim community. Not just us as Palestinians, but in the whole region, like Lebanese, Syrians, Jordanians, Egyptians. We are like normal believers, and some of us practice like religion, but it helps us or the community to believe it will be a catastrophe if all of this injustice happening to you as a person, Palestinian person, and there is no afterlife. Like, it's not easy to accept what's going on. So believing in afterlife will justify what you are going through as a Palestinian or as a believer Palestinian.
And where does this ideology and is it doubt as a counterpoint come into play, or this kind of constant change and, I don't know, right to return? Is that different from faith?
Yeah. Faith in our cause is different from faith in believing in religion. Like, we have the faith that we have the right of that land because we are the Palestinians of that land. And if it was promised for any people, as they say, it's promised to us as Palestinians because we are the non-believers of that land. Then we became the Jews of that land, then the Christians of that land, then the Muslims and the Christians and the Jews of that land, and the non-believers of that land. So we are the real owners of that land. This is how we believe. This is our faith. This is like, it doesn't belong to somebody from Slovenia because he's a Jew, Zionist Jew, that my land belongs more to him than me. No, it belongs to me because I'm the Jew of that land. And I'm the Christian of that land. I'm the Muslim and the atheist of that land. So the right of return is a faith in our cause, in the justice of our rights, of our struggle. The ideology, it's something with believing in something else, like, and it will change. It's more pragmatic, I think. It will go more radical or softer. It depends on what we are going through, and it depends on the situation and the Islamic history. We have seen people that they have been so radical, then they moved to Sufism, like Ibn Taymiyyah, and he has been from the right to the left within the Islamic beliefs. So the ideology changes on the situation and the pragmatic need. This is how I see it. Not just the Islamic ideology, any other ideology in the world.
Now, I'll finish up then with this. You mentioned before that it's a question of the humanity of the whole world, what we see happening in Gaza and just witnessing that. And very similar words were used by our foreign minister. She talked about, how this is the question of humanity, and I think also the president used the same words, and that this has to be stopped. And it's very weird because it seems that they're talking from a position where they're very well aware what's happening, but they're also talking from a position where they want to present that they have no power. And I'm wondering how you understand that. But also, when you mentioned, the numerous communist parties, the fragmented situation in West Bank, in Gaza, in East Jerusalem, in Palestine 48. If we talk about solidarity movements, what is it that we should, or that people should somehow advocate for, call for? Is it right of return? You mentioned before liberation. What is somehow, because this is something that often they say, yes, but this, the situation is complicated, but what should we do? Who do we talk to? Who is there on the other side? Or, what will happen if nothing happens, or if we let something different happen?
Me saying it's a question for the whole humanity, it's coming from a humanitarian point of view. As a prime minister and president here or there or any other place in the world, if they can't change, that proves that they are slaves to the US. And I'm not slave, they are slaves. So if they can do a lot, but they are slaves of the policemen of the world. And I'm talking about the Slovenian government and the Norwegian and the Danish and the Arab governments. All of these governments are slaves to the police of the world, the US. If they can't change, who will change? I don't want their words. I want their actions. I want their sanctions. I want their boycott. I want their divestment. I didn't see anything of that. But recognizing the state of Palestine. What is the state of Palestine that you build your opinion or this recognition on? Any changes on the ground? There is nothing. So what's needed from us to work as much as we can? And most of us can depend or accept or agree on the BDS movement basic rules, which is the right of return and against the apartheid and justice for everybody, which is the basic thing that BDS built on. But we, as people all over the world in solidarity movement, what can we do? We can do a lot. And I will say it for a million times, not to accept what's going on. We are doing a lot. Boycott. We have seen Starbucks and McDonald's and all these big companies, how they start to change, or the effect on them. Yes, this cup of coffee that I'm buying, if I don't buy it from Starbucks, I will save a life in Gaza. That's not a lie. I will save a life in another place in the world. These capitalist companies that they are controlling the world because of their money, they are controlling the media, the economy of the world. Not just Starbucks and McDonald's, they are example of who's controlling the world. So if I'm boycotting these companies, I'm supporting the Palestinian cause. And the most important thing, I'm supporting the local production. Like the local cafes in my neighborhood. And the T-shirts that they produced in this small village in Slovenia. I don't need, there is no need for me to wear Boss or Gant or whatever. I don't, if these companies are on the boycott, but I'm giving example as a big companies. But I know what does it mean for a local factory to sell 100 pieces of T-shirts in one day. How many families they will get their salaries at the end of the day. So I don't just support Palestine. I support my local production, my local cafe, my local restaurant, my local clothes production or shoes production or my school or whatever I support as a local. I'm building my community. So we can do a lot by we can't divest, but we can question which bank we are investing our money in, and or which fund we are investing our money in. But we can boycott. We don't. I will not die if I don't drink Coca-Cola. I will not die if I don't eat Burger King or McDonald's. But there is somebody who will die if I do these things. There will not be changes in the world if they don't see the effect of my boycott or as a reaction on what they are doing. So what we need to do is to continue with what we are doing. What we need to do is not to give up. What we need to do is to show that we are the voice of the voiceless. The Palestinian people in Gaza and in West Bank, we are their voice. So as much I can be their voice, as much as I can help them.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mustafa. Thank you to Pritličje, thank you to Teja, thank you to all of you for your questions, for your time, for your energy here. We've started talking, and I'm really pleased that we started with this talk. We will continue probably in the meantime as well. So let's talk as much as possible about racism, about possible ways of liberation, about Palestine, about the injustices and genocide that's going on. Tomorrow there will be a decision by the International Court of Justice also on the illegality or legality of the occupation. Let's be vocal about that, and we will continue our conversations and talks also with Palestinian voices on between the 22nd and 24th of August, also in the scope of the events of the Grounded Festival, which I also hope that you will participate in. And thank you again. Okay. Good night and good luck.